First story. My delusional fiancé contacted my abusive no-contact family behind my back and demanded I invite them to our wedding, claiming I'm over-victimizing myself and blindsiding my trauma and abuse. So I called off the wedding and kicked her out of my house. Throwaway account. I appreciate it if you give me your honest opinion, as I'm being pressured from everyone except my aunt to go against my wish. I'm a 30-year-old woman. I have been with my fiancée Sarah for the last 5 years. We are the same age and we met at grad school. When I was 13, my loving dad passed away. He left a decent amount of money for us. My mom, within 6 months, got engaged to a guy named Bob. Bob had a daughter around my age. My mom married Bob within a year of my dad's passing. Bob really hated me from the start and didn't even try to hide it. He was saying stuff like how my mom should have sent me to a boarding school, how if it wasn't because of my dad's inheritance, he wouldn't have me in his house, or I'm a bulldyke because I was on our school sports team and very athletic. He multiple times told my mom he doesn't feel safe when his daughter is around me. I wasn't even yet. Used this as a reason to exclude me pretty much from everything. My mom, on the other hand, was going above and beyond to prove to Bob that she is the new mom for Bob's little princess. They ended up having 3 more kids. Basically, I was a roommate who did babysitting for my mom and her new family. I never had a birthday party or a special day. My dad's sister was amazing to me. I was at their place all the time. She and her family had birthday celebrations for me. And my mom was making excuses not to show up. And of course the rest of them never showed up. I was really my aunt and uncle's daughter. They were amazing to me. When I left for university, I contacted my mom a few times. But she was always busy, so I just gave up. Here is the issue. Sarah, my fiancée, comes from a very family-oriented background. Family is everything to her. Her family asked about mine. I said my dad passed away, and my mom is busy with her family and lives across the country. She lives 1-hour drive from us. But this is what Sarah told them. So I just didn't correct them. I didn't entirely lie technically. Sarah asked me to invite my family to our wedding. I told her no. She said it's very embarrassing, not having only my aunt and her family on my side. I reluctantly invited my mom. She called and asked me to apologize to Bob and my stepmother and half-siblings for not inviting them and invite them all. I told her no. She said I'm being ungrateful. And Bob was a father figure to me. I had a big argument with my mom over this. My mom now says the only way she comes is if I invite Bob, his daughter, and their kids. Sarah is now pushing me to invite them all because she doesn't want to feel embarrassed in front of her family. These people never even gave me a card or said happy birthday to me. So I see no reason to celebrate my big day with them. I, on the other hand, don't want to let my fiancé down. I just don't know what to do. Should I swallow my ego and invite my family so my fiancé is happy? I suggested eloping. But Sarah is a firm no. AITA to ruining my fiancé's day by not fulfilling her wish. Comments apart. Scene 9059 info. Did you ever actually explain to Sarah the real reason you were distant from your family? OP yes, Sarah knows all the details. She also knows about my close relationship with my aunt and uncle because of my mom and Bob's behavior. Her family doesn't know since Sarah said it's best if they don't know the drama in my life. I respected her decision. Crack 3DOP. You really need to put a stop to the wedding. This isn't going to get better and it will only get worse. Your future wife should have had your back about who was coming to the wedding and had enough understanding with her family of what was going on. She wouldn't accept your no and then pushed back and beat you down verbally until you agreed. Does she do this every time you have an argument? Do you see yourself having to make sacrifice suggestions more than she does? Does your actual happiness matter? Just from reading your post, I don't see a partner you are about to marry who is prioritizing the happiness of her partner. Please stop agreeing to everything solely out of what appears to need to be accepted. TBH, my dream wedding would be an elopement. Sarah has this dream wedding in her mind, and I don't want to ruin it for her. She wants a big, beautiful wedding with families surrounding us. I feel ashamed that my family is so messed up and embarrassing her. I feel so inadequate, like I'm letting her down. The whole wedding planning has been so stressful, and I understand it affected her mental health. No, before getting engaged, we had a very relaxing lifestyle. To be fair, before getting engaged, she never cared if my mom was in the picture or how her family felt if they saw how messed up my family was. OP, thank you for your comments and DMs. They really gave me perspective on my life. I sat Sarah down last night and explained my reasoning for not inviting my family. She kept saying that was a long time ago. They might not be the same people anymore. I felt offended and said, "How on earth are you lecturing me when you've never even met them?" Well, it turned out my mother has been in touch with Sarah. Sarah said they regularly meet for coffee dates and talk. I was about to cry because I was so angry. My mom changed the whole narrative, saying Bob was a father figure, a good protective dad, and that it was me who didn't love him back because apparently it's my thing to play the victim. She claimed my aunt manipulated me and stole me from their family, trying to be a replacement for my mom. According to her, it's all about my mother. I screamed. Are you for real? Ask her next time on your coffee dates why I never had a birthday party growing up. Why was there never a gift under the tree for me? Ask Bob if he even knows when my birthday is since he was such a loving dad. Why did my aunt have to pick me up before Christmas Eve? Because Bob wanted to spend the holiday with his kids, not with another man's mistake. Sarah basically repeated what my mom has told me my whole life. You just love to make a big deal out of everything, make yourself a victim and push everyone away. I told her she had no right to contact my mom. She said I was cruel and claimed she was just trying to help me mend my broken relationship. She even called my mom lovely and said Bob has changed a lot. He's now an LGBTQ ally now that his princess is out. I was floored. An ally. Maybe he should start by apologizing to me for terrorizing my entire childhood. I told Sarah we are done. I can't do this. Sarah sarcastically said. You just proved your mom's point. Go run to your aunt. Let that old witch run your life. I told her she needs to find a new place ASAP, considering she's not paying rent I am. She got mad and asked what excuse I was going to make up this time to justify my bullshit trauma. I stopped replying. She went on a tirade, breaking our dinner plates. I didn't care. I texted my aunt, and she asked if I wanted to spend the night at her place. I said I was fine. I'm taking time off from work. I cleaned up the kitchen, which was full of broken dishware in the morning, because I didn't want my cats to accidentally get hurt. Sarah is still sleeping. I'm going to see how I can legally evict her. I'm a complete mess. But I'll talk to my aunt and uncle for help. Yes, I am not starting to date again until I see a therapist and work on myself. I can't keep going through this. Comments UV got mailed too. Just curious. OP, if your family lives across the country, how was Sarah having regular coffee dates with your mom? OP, I explained later. That was the lie Sarah told her parents and I didn't correct it. Yes, I shouldn't have lied to them. I should have taken the hint when she asked me to lie. We live in the lower mainland Vancouver and my mom lives in Abbotsford. To be exact, if you want to check how far she lives away from us. Second story entitled Pick Me, girlfriend bullies OP's little sister out of jealousy, now smashed her Switch. OP bought her as a gift so he kicked her out. Now she vilified OP to her best friend, and started accusing him of choosing his sister over her. Now, having a breakdown, OP broke up with her. My girlfriend Megan and I stay together. She had a fight with her parents and asked if we could move in together, so we did. Not too long ago I had to take my little sister in. I can't disclose much except the fact that I was her only option. When we had the talk about me having to take my sister in, Megan did not like the idea. She told me that I was too young to have such a responsibility. What will happen when we get married and have our own kids? Our place was too small, etc. But didn't outright say she had an issue with it. I obviously couldn't turn my back on my sister. So I went ahead with it despite her reservations. Although my sister has always been friendly to Megan from the moment she met her. Megan is always just indifferent. And it stinks because my sister really admires her and enjoys talking to her. I just thought maybe they don't connect because of my sister's age. A month ago I bought my sister a Switch. She has always wanted one. And all her friends have it. I figured she deserved it as she does well at school, helps with chores and is generally a well-behaved kid. She loved it. and she has been taking good care of it. Megan wasn't happy when I bought it. She actually sulked. She would borrow the Switch incessantly. And my sister would not say no. Maybe because she was afraid to. But Megan would use it so much that it felt like it belonged to her. My sister never said anything. She would just patiently wait for her turn. Sometimes Megan would use it even when my sister was at school, saying that she gets bored when I'm at work. All this made me uncomfortable. So I asked her to please tone down on the Switch, as it's unfair on my sister. It was her gift. Megan agreed. Although it was clear that she was upset. She gave us the silent treatment for the rest of the night. Last week when I came back from picking up my sister from school after work, we found her Switch broken. And that's putting it lightly. It looked like it was deliberately smashed. My sister was distraught. When I asked Megan what happened, she told us that she accidentally dropped it and it broke. It was obvious that she was lying. And when I pointed that out and all the other times where she seemed to have an issue with an 11-year-old for no reason, she got annoyed and told me that everything was fine until my sister moved in. I called her childish and asked her to please pack her bags and go back to her parents' house because I need space and time to think. This only made her more annoyed. But she eventually left. Her best friend texted me last night to tell me that I was an arsehole for kicking Megan out because, on top of everything else, I know how rocky her relationship with her parents is. Does this make me in awe? Comments routine friend, 7585 NTA. She sounds vindictive. You deserve better. OP she is. And to think I thought we had a future together. Delicious mix 19 to 180, she should pay to replace the Switch. OP she is unemployed. I'm the one who is paying rent, bills and everything else. Apolisema, I wonder if her parents' side of the story is different than the one you got from her. Silent Joe 1D986 probably hates her parents telling her to go to college or get a effing job. If she's bored sitting at home, she can look for work to fill the time. The Demino Fever Swamp instead of bullying little kids. Nitopian and destroying their expensive property. Subscreen NTA, she isn't your wife. She does not get a say in your decision to take your sister in. And she is quite frankly a despicable person for bullying and intentionally hurting an 11-year-old who looks up to her. On top of that, she sounds like a terrible partner too. You work and let her live rent-free. And she does nothing all day but play on the Switch and bully your sister. And look at that. The first time you stood up to her BS, she already ran to her friend, vilifying you. Dump her like radioactive waste. And tell her friend to eat glass. If she cares so much, she can take on the insufferable burden that is your ex. I spoke to her beforehand to let her know so as to not take her by surprise. I was really taken back by her reservations, but decided to give her the benefit of the doubt. Not everyone welcomes change easily. And she is an only child who doesn't understand what it's like to have siblings. But I see now that she is not a very nice person. Because who would have an issue with an 11-year-old that looks up to you and is just happy to be in a stable environment? And to go as far as destroying something that she cherished and then lying about it. She just seems unstable, and I don't want her around my sister anymore. She wouldn't survive living with her friend. She always trash talks her. Judgment NTA update 4 days later. I just wanted to write an update on what happened after I posted. When I kicked Megan out, I already knew that there was no way our relationship could continue. After reading the comments on the post, I knew that I needed to officially end the relationship and not leave things hanging. I only said to her I needed time to think because I wanted her to leave without a fuss. She had already caused enough trouble. I hadn't spoken to her since what happened because I was ignoring her texts. Some of them were telling me that she missed me and wanted to come back home. I decided to text her to arrange a meeting. She told me to come over to her friend's place because she only stayed a few days at her parents' place. When I got to her friend's place, I told Megan that the relationship is not working out for me, and it's best that we break up. I said I don't see myself getting over the fact that she intentionally destroyed something that meant a lot to my sister over her irrational jealousy. Not to mention that she never really opened up to my sister, which should have been enough for me to end the relationship then. My sister deserves to be around someone who is willing to form a relationship with her. I had the rest of her stuff and proceeded to give it to her. She started crying and pleading, then accusing me of choosing my sister over her. I clearly never really loved her. She knew that this would happen after my sister moved in. I just said to her, "This is exactly why I'm breaking up with you." I also told her that she really needed to reimburse me the $300 for the Switch that she accidentally dropped because my little sister is heartbroken over it and has been sad about it ever since. She rolled her eyes and told me that she already said it was an accident and that it's not her problem anyway since I don't want to be with her anymore. I didn't feel like continuing to argue with her, so I told her to never contact me again and left. When I got home, I blocked her everywhere. I am relieved that she is out of our lives, but I'm very disappointed in myself that it took something so drastic for me to see that Megan was not a good person. Comments difficult things she showed you. She's an insecure pick-me in some imagined competition with your little sister. And you believed her. Good for you. You're an excellent brother. And I'm sure you will find someone who makes you happy and cherishes your sister. OP, thank you. And to be honest, I'm not in a rush to find someone. I just want to focus on making sure my sister is alright. Leading under strain under 2959, it sounds like you made the right call. It's tough, but Megan clearly wasn't respecting you or your sister. It's good you stood up for your family, even if it took a while to see it. No need to beat yourself up. Sometimes it takes a big moment to realize what's best for you. Third story: my uncle died fighting cancer, and my entitled cousins who drained him financially came to demand his life insurance. Then physically assaulted my aunt for refusing. Now realizing their lives are ed after I took over aunt's finances and gave them a reality check. This is the first post I've ever made. But I love hearing these stories until it started happening to me. I apologize if this is a long story. But it has now turned into a drama worse than a telenovela and K-drama combined. And I thought all my fellow petty potatoes would appreciate this story. My uncle 68 was diagnosed with colon cancer about a year ago, and this past month has been bedridden. My aunt 64 has been taking really good care of him despite being mostly blind, having onset Alzheimer's, and shaking due to other neurological issues. My cousins Kevin 34 and Karen 30, in the meantime have been draining their parents' bank accounts, overdrawing them, and even making my aunt drain the rest of her 401k to buy a car for Karen. My aunt and uncle's bills are now months behind, and now utilities and phones are being shut off. Aunt finally called her two sisters B and Lynn to see if they could help because she felt like she was drowning. B and Lynn discovered the overwhelming pigsty aunt has been living in. Her fridge was empty, and Kevin, who is living with them, was not helping with the cleaning or bills. But he was helping send their bank accounts into a high negative, while complaining that his mother doesn't help around the apartment. B and Lynn, on the other hand, cleaned the apartment over the span of 2 weeks. That was how filthy it was, paid most of their bills, spending over $2,000 each, filled their fridge with food and cooked meals for aunt, uncle and Kevin. 1 week ago, uncle fell into a coma, and the doctors told family to keep giving him medicine to be comfortable until he passes. And here is where SHT starts to hit the fan. Karen starts telling aunt that she is owed $42,000, because that is the amount Karen gave to aunt and uncle to help them with bills, and this is why I didn't have the wedding I originally wanted, and hits her mother, causing a black eye. Kevin decided to take out several payday loans over the course of the year, and tell his mother that she owes him this money because he had to get the loans for them. He owes more than $30,000. Aunt was distraught with her children, and the thought of losing her husband, and calls me, her niece 35, to see if I can help her with anything. I visit, see the state of my uncle in a coma, hear what my cousins are doing, and decide with the help of my mother B to start filing all the legal paperwork to become her power of attorney, living trust, living will, an executor of will, essentially, being fully in control of my aunt's life finances, and being in charge of how she lives the rest of her life, and how she wants her things money distributed after passing. The fun part is, Kevin and Karen don't know about this, because aunt doesn't want them to know yet. Since I appreciate my aunt wanting to tell them at an opportune moment, I made sure to call Adult Protective Services on Karen for hitting my aunt and Kevin and Karen for elder financial abuse. Unfortunately, Uncle lost his battle to cancer this past Friday, November 1st, and not even an hour after his death, Kevin and Karen are asking about Uncle's 401k and his life insurance policy. Karen was screaming at aunt, saying that she is entitled to this money along with Kevin. I, on the other hand, am amping up my protective petty self, and found out that Karen's car is actually under Aunt's name, and have filed a report to the police to go get my aunt's car, because it was illegally taken. I already have a buyer for the car in as is condition. I told another family member to take my uncle's car and sell it for my aunt to help with the money issue she has right now. My family and I are going to be moving Aunt away from her toxic children. But I'll have to give an update later on that. This Friday, November 8th, is when I get to tell Kevin and Karen that they aren't getting any money. And I am going to start a lawsuit against them if they look at access or try to use Aunt's bank account again. I feel bad for not knowing Aunt has been treated to this abominable behavior before. But I get to make sure she is taken care of from now on. I will probably update this weekend to let everyone who is interested know what happens. Update. Thank you for all the support and advice everyone has given me and my family. I truly appreciate it. And now on to the update. On Friday, November 8th, Kevin and Karen decided they weren't available to meet. So Aunt, my mom B, her sister, my other Aunt Lynn, and Lynn's daughter Alice started calling all the bill companies, insurance companies, and all the different accounts Uncle had before passing. I even called the credit bureau to see if anything surprising was opened under Uncle's name or Aunt's name. Fortunately, nothing was a surprise and all the accounts were accounted for on our end. Unfortunately, due to unforeseen circumstances, there is a delay in getting the death certificate and filing his life insurance because of people at Uncle's company being on vacation and unable to file the claims and paperwork. So we have to wait a little longer before we are able to schedule his funeral. On Saturday, November 9th, I was able to meet Kevin at a public place with Alice right across the street if I needed her, and told him that I am now in charge of his mother's accounts, living trust, living will, and basically everything in her life. He shocked me by being docile the entire time I was talking. He and I were as close as siblings for the first 18 years of our lives, but drifted apart due to me going to college and both of us starting our own lives. I told him that he really messed up here, and I am not going to allow this behavior anymore. I also told him that I have no qualms calling Adult Protective Services or the police on him or his sister if their behaviors do not straighten up. He surprised me again by telling me that he needs to change his spending habits and attitude, and is starting to understand that everything he was doing was uncalled for. He even said he understood why he wasn't getting any money. Now, I wasn't born yesterday, so I heard what he was saying and will hope for the best where Kevin is concerned, but plan for the worst. Since Karen was not able to be there, I told Kevin to get Karen on the phone and put it on speaker since we were outside a coffee shop. Kevin started to say that I was in charge of their mother's accounts, and Karen interrupted and started yelling, "How dare you take away my money from me? Those are my accounts and I deserve." I took Kevin's phone and hung up on her. She tried to call back several times but I declined all the calls. She finally gave up after about 5 minutes. I told Kevin that it is now up to him to relay the basic information to Karen, and if she wants to call me and speak to me like an adult, to give her my phone number. I knew this was not the end, but it felt good hanging up on her several times. Now for the latest piece of drama for today, November 13th. Today the Social Security check went through for my aunt's account, and for whatever reason my uncle's check from October went to his account instead of my aunt's. Before we could go to the bank to see what we needed to do to transfer the funds, someone accessed Uncle's account and tried to withdraw all the funds. Luckily we frozen his account with the bank, and we attempted to ask who tried to take money out of his account. The bank said that until they have the death certificate, they can't release any of this information to us. I called Kevin and hinted that someone tried to hack into Uncle's account and steal money. He sounded genuinely shocked, and even checked his own account to see if anyone tried to also get into his account. I asked him for Karen's number and called her, where I also hinted the same to her. She started the call sounding arrogant, and I started talking about how concerned I was about everything that was happening, and that I was going to tell the bank to call the police so we could file charges. Her voice started to shake when I mentioned getting the police involved, because the bank said they would release the information to me when a death certificate is provided. She was like, "Oh yeah, you should do that." Then I reminded her that stealing from the bank is actually a federal crime, and I hope they add on the charges of financial elder abuse on top of the federal charge. It took a while for her to answer, but her voice was shaking even more than before. I asked how her husband was getting along in the Navy and asked after her girl. but she suddenly had to hang up the phone. At this point, I don't think anything she can, is or will do is going to surprise me. But I am looking forward to making that final decision to get the police involved. This is most of the updated information I have right now, but I know there will be another update in the near future. And again, I appreciate all the advice given to me, because half the time I feel like I'm just guessing at what I need to do next. Thank you for watching the video. If you are interested in listening to these kinds of stories, we've got more in store for you. Simply subscribe to our channel, hit the like button and share it with your friends.